Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome. We're glad to have you join us tonight at our Awakening Heart Community of Mindful Living gathering that normally meets here at the Dallas Meditation Center every Sunday at 5. And during this period when we aren't coming into businesses and such, we will be meeting online. And all of our classes for the Dallas Meditation Center, all of our evening gatherings are happening right here on YouTube. And the noon meditations are happening on Facebook during the weekdays. But you can always find us at our website at dallasmeditationcenter.com. But I'm really glad that we're all here together tonight. And just a little housekeeping before we start. After we finish tonight with our YouTube broadcast, for those of you who would like to do sharing and discussion, we will do that in a Zoom room, a Zoom meeting following once the YouTube broadcast close. And you can find that link over in the live chat on this video, and suggest copying and pasting it, and or just clicking on it at that time when the Zoom opens. And also this organization is a nonprofit organization fully supported by donations, and you can find that link in the description or in the chat room as well. And so let's begin tonight. Well, I will say, if you would like to, you can check in the chat room, and that will be great. If you want to just say hello, and I will read those in a bit. But let's begin with our opening affirmation. Many of you know it, and so go ahead and say it along if you know it, and if you don't, you will learn it if you keep coming back. So, noble community, we gather here now to honor the way and peace of nonviolence, the way of wisdom and compassion, the way of joy and beauty. In solidarity with one another, with all humanity, and with all life on earth. Friends on the path, we gather here now to deepen our solidity like a mountain and to renew our freshness like a flower. Through mindful sitting and walking, mindful singing and breathing, and mindful speaking and listening. Family of awakening, we gather here now to celebrate the one infinite light that shines through many religions and many cultures, to cultivate the wisdom of our many teachers, both ancestral and contemporary, and to affirm the capacity within ourselves and all persons of every race, gender, orientation, and tradition to realize full and complete enlightenment. Well, it's so nice to practice with community. Even though we have distance between us, it's really nice that our community can be strong and supportive of each other, even though we're separated by space, by distance, by, across town or across the world or across the country. But it's also nice that we can come together in this way so that others can practice with us as well. So we do have a few people who've checked in the chat room. So I'll just say hello to Paul. Paul says, hello, everyone. He's grateful that he got to go outside. Mohammed, hello, welcome. He says, happy Easter. Yes, happy Easter. It is, a day for, fresh starts, knowing that we can be forgiven and others can be forgiven, and we can always reconcile and begin anew. Catherine is here, and Heather. Hello, Heather. And grateful for the sunny day. Me too. It was kind of rainy early this morning. And Barbara is here saying hello and grateful for continuing our connections. Neil says namaste. Michael is hello, everyone. Lisa, thankful for the beautiful day and technology. Barbara Wilson says, hi there. I'm grateful for the nice weather and Sangha. Paula, hello, Paula. Hi, and happy to be here. Miles, oh, hello, Miles. Miles leads many of the noon meditations and also some of the other online practices. And she's grateful to be listening in from the Green Trail in Carrollton. How wonderful to be outside. And then Stephanie, hello, is grateful for the beautiful weather. And Michael, I agree. It's a good day for community. So let's begin with, we'll chant the Medicine Buddha mantra. Some of you know it, and if you don't, well, again, follow along. We'll do it several times. The words are Sanskrit, so you may or may not know them. That's okay, or know what they mean. But just know this chant tells us that healing is possible, healing and enlightenment are possible. Wellness is possible. It's available right here and now. And we embody that, the property of healing. And so let's begin, and we will chant this. And you can always go to our website, dallasmeditationcenter.com, and look down the right-hand side. And if you keep scrolling down, you'll find where the Medicine Buddha mantra is, and the words are there. And there's also an audio file that you can sing along with and learn it. Om Namo Bhagavate Vaishya Guru Vaidurya Prabharajaya Tathagataya Arhate Samyak Sambuddhaya Tadyata Om Vaishya Maha Vaishya Rajat Samudgate Swaha. Om Namo Bhagavate Vaishya Guru Vaidurya Prabharajaya Tathagataya Arhate Samyak Sambuddhaya Tadyata Om Vaishya Maha Vaishya Raja Samudgate Swaha. One more time. Om Namo Bhagavate Vaishya Guru Vaidurya Prabharajaya Tathagataya Arhate Samyak Sambuddhaya Tadyata Om Vaishya So in this format, we don't do lead walking meditation, but I do welcome you, if you're at home or if you're outside, perhaps, that, you might choose to do some walking while we do this guided meditation. And, if you're at home, I welcome you to, find a comfortable position, either sitting or lying down. See if you can not get distracted by the phone, looking at the phone or checking messages. And, just like if you were sitting here in the room with us, and perhaps some of you have the lights turned down and it's a quiet place. But know that meditation is possible wherever you are, even if it's loud and bright. But so just finding that position for sitting meditation, I said either lying down or sitting, or maybe you're walking. Anything is fine. Just letting go of those distractions, but not trying to shove them away or anything. Just be aware. Be aware of what's in your surroundings. And they're just like clouds that are in the sky, those thoughts or distractions. You might notice them, but, we're here to be solid as a mountain. But, we haven't failed if sometimes we aren't quite solid as a mountain. We get distracted by a sound or a thought. But really, the prize comes when we become aware that we've been distracted by the thought or the sound, because awareness is what it's all about. And that gives us one more time to practice coming back to the breath. So finding that breath. Let us be at peace with our bodies and minds. Let us return to ourselves and become wholly ourselves. Let us be aware of the source of being, common to us all and to all living things. Evoking the presence of the great compassion, let us fill our hearts with our own compassion towards ourselves and towards all living beings. Let us pray that we ourselves cease to be the cause of suffering to each other. With humility and awareness of the existence of life and of the suffering that are going on around us, let us practice the establishment of peace in our hearts and on earth.
So as we settle into our meditation, this meditation will offer you something to think about, and then you will hear a bell that gives you time to do that. So with each breath, there is a word or a phrase as you breathe in, and a word or a phrase as you breathe out. So if you like, you can gently close your eyes and just begin by paying attention to the breath. Aware of my body, I breathe in. Smiling to my body, I breathe out. Aware of body, smiling. Looking at the roots of pain in my body, I breathe in. Smiling to the roots of the pain in my body, I breathe out. Roots of physical pain, smiling. Aware of the contents of my mind, I breathe in. Smiling to the contents of my mind, I breathe out. Aware of mind, smiling. Looking at the roots of the pain in my mind, I breathe in. Smiling to the roots of the pain in my mind, I breathe out. roots of pain in the mind, smiling. Looking at the roots of the pain of fear, I breathe in. Smiling to the roots of the pain of fear, I breathe out. Roots of fear, smiling. Looking at the roots of the feeling of insecurity, I breathe in. Smiling to the roots of the feeling of insecurity, I breathe out. Roots of insecurity, smiling. Looking at the roots of the feeling of sadness, I breathe in. Smiling to the roots of the feeling of sadness, I breathe out. Roots of sadness, smiling. Looking at the roots of the feeling of anger, I breathe in, smiling to the roots of the feeling of anger. I breathe out. Roots of anger, smiling. Looking at the roots of the feeling of jealousy, I breathe in, smiling to the roots of the feeling of jealousy. I breathe out. Roots of jealousy, smiling. Looking at the roots of the feeling of attachment, I breathe in, smiling to the roots of the feeling of attachment. I breathe out. Roots of attachment, smiling. Looking at the roots of the feeling of being caught, I breathe in, smiling to the roots of the feeling of being caught. I breathe out. Roots of being caught, smiling. Looking at the roots of the feeling of joy, I breathe in. Smiling to the roots of the feeling of joy, I breathe out. Roots of joy, smiling. Looking at the roots of the joy of liberty, I breathe in. Smiling to the roots of the joy of liberty, I breathe out. Roots of joy of liberty, smiling. Looking at the roots of the joy of release, I breathe in. Smiling to the roots of the joy of release, I breathe out. Roots of joy of release, smiling. Looking at the roots of the joy of ease, I breathe in. Smiling to the roots of the joy of ease, I breathe out. Roots of joy of ease, smiling. Looking at the roots of the neutral feeling, I breathe in. Smiling to the roots of the neutral feeling, I breathe out. Roots of neutral feeling, smiling. May all beings be happy.
May all beings be happy.
May all beings be free.
May all beings be free.
May all beings be joyful.
May all beings be joyful.
May all beings be at peace.
May all beings be at peace.
Brahma Vihara Maitri. Brahma Vihara Maitri. Brahma Vihara Karuna. Brahma Vihara Karuna. Brahma Vihara Mudita. Brahma Vihara Mudita. Brahma Vihara Upeksha.
Brahma Vihara Upeksha.
May all beings be happy. May all beings be happy. May all beings be free. May all beings be free. May all beings be joyful. May all beings be joyful. May all beings be at peace.
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 May all beings be at peace. May all beings be at peace.
So go ahead and allow stretch the shoulders, stretch the neck, stretch the feet if you need to, or the legs. And if you would like to stand up and stretch, you're welcome to. Just coming back to this room, and in a moment we'll do our practice of reciting the three jewels. And this is an opportunity to, just like to stretch. This is an opportunity, if you'd like when we would be here together at the center, if you'd like to bow between each one, it can really help, stretch the body as well as, be a reminder to be mindful of our practice of the three jewels. And our practice of the three jewels, they are called, those three jewels are the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. And these are all qualities that are present within us. The Buddha is the awakening heart. The awakening heart is that ability to wake up, to realize. And the Dharma, those are our teachings, or the awakening path, the path to realization, the path to enlightenment, the path to healing, the path to being okay with what is. And then the Sangha, that is our community, the awakening community, those who practice with each other and help each other along that path. It's the awakening community helps us on the awakening path to the awakening heart. So let's all recite each of the three jewels, and you can just repeat after me. We take refuge in the awakening heart of infinite light, that which shows us the way in this life. We take refuge in the awakening heart of infinite light, that which shows us the way in this life. We take refuge in the awakening path of infinite light, the way of understanding and of love. We take refuge in the awakening path of infinite light, the way of understanding and of love. We take refuge in the awakening community of infinite light, those who live in harmony and awareness. We take refuge in the awakening community of infinite light, those who live in harmony and awareness. Tonight, our speaker tonight will be Nick Belgard, and he will speak to us on the topic of solitude and stuckness. So everyone, let's welcome Nick.
Hello, Sangha members. I hope all of you are doing well, and I'm very grateful to be here underneath this tree painting, giving a Dharma talk to you all today on this lovely Sunday. So I tried to make my Dharma talks relevant, and I was thinking what some people might be experiencing now that there have been so many changes going on in our society and in our day-to-day life. One of the thoughts I have is that each person might be experiencing something totally different from what I might expect. So I'm not really sure what other people might be experiencing. But one aspect, I think, is solitude and stuckness. One thing that I have experienced somewhat myself during this period, which might relate to other people's experience, is being stuck, not being able to go outside, not being able to have a normal community meetings. And I just saw the comment, Camino says, hey, okay. So on the one hand, this can be very devastating to many people, but on the other hand, I had the thought that this is a very good opportunity to practice mindfulness and meditation. One of the key aspects of Buddhism and practicing mindfulness is the ability to watch oneself, watch one's thoughts, observe one's feelings objectively with a non-judgmental awareness. And at least in my thinking, being stuck in one place is a very good opportunity to do this. And so researching this, I found a talk by the Buddha, which is called the Sutra on the Better Way to Live Alone. And in this, the Buddha talks about, he doesn't advocate for people to live in solitude, but he's demonstrating that people can live alone and rely on themselves and be sort of like an island unto themselves. And in it, he quotes this poem, or the Buddha wrote this poem. It says, "Do not pursue the past. Do not lose yourself in the future. The past no longer is. The future has not yet come. Looking deeply at life as it is in the very here and now, the practitioner dwells in stability and freedom. We must be diligent today. To wait till tomorrow is too late. Death comes unexpectedly. How can we bargain with it? The sage calls a person who dwells in mindfulness night and day the one who knows the better way to live alone." So living alone, I thought I would share more of my experience working inside, um, having to stay in my apartment for most of the day. When I do this and I pay attention to myself and observe what thoughts and feelings and emotions and actions come up, I notice that there are a lot of habit energies that come up. And in the mindfulness practice, habit energies are just strong energies that abide within us, which are there because of the results of past actions, doing something over and over again. So some of these habit energies are pretty wholesome, such as waking up in the morning and doing a meditation mindfulness practice. Other habit energies can be more unwholesome and can tend to carry us away. There's an interesting quote by Thich Nhat Hanh where he shares a story of which is popular in some Zen circles, of a man standing on a street side watching someone ride by on a horse with a very serious look on his face and just like moving very quickly on this horse. And the guy standing on the street asks the man on the horse where he's going, and the man says, "I don't know." So I like this story because it feels like at times our habit energies of being stuck inside can kind of carry us away on paths that are taking us away from ourselves. And so when that happens, it helps to have a practice to come back to oneself, to return focusing on the breath, to be mindful and to dwell in the present moment on whatever happens. It can also be helpful when the habit energies manifest to ask oneself, why is this manifesting? What is the reason that this is coming up right now? And to kind of have a dialogue with oneself about why this is coming up. Some other solutions are to ask, why is this, do I need this? And as this comes up, if it turns out that you don't need this, is there a better way to meet this need of whatever the habit is that's coming up? So being stuck and being isolated sometimes can be difficult, but other times it can be an opportunity for learning. As the Tao Te Ching says, without opening your door, you can open your heart to the world. Without looking out the window, you can see the essence of the Tao. I really like that quote. And just thinking about it in the context of what's going on right now gives me a sense of peace and gives me an ability to deal with whatever comes up in a productive way. Some examples of people who have been stuck in history. One person that I enjoy reading is Emily Dickinson, who spent most of her adult life in a state of isolation, not being able to go out into the community, not being able to see very many people. And throughout her life, she wrote some very beautiful poems. Another example was an anthropologist who I heard traveled to the Far East, and on his journey, he wanted to meet a Buddhist practitioner, a nun who decided to go on a 55-year isolation retreat in a single room. And when he approached her, he expected to find someone who had basically completely gone crazy, sitting in a room for the majority of her life. 55 years is a really long time. And he was surprised when he approached her that she had a face that was extremely placid and a demeanor that was extremely present. He described her eyes as being like a pond with no ripples on it. So just a completely clear pond reflecting clearly the mountains around it. And that's something that stuck with me for a while. The sense of this woman just being in this room and clarifying her mind and purifying her mind. Okay. So some other quotes that I liked. There's a book called Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance that I like, in which Robert Pirsig says, "Stuckness shouldn't be avoided. It's the psychic predecessor to all real understanding." I like that because it's very counterintuitive. Normally in our culture, it's very important to be getting somewhere and doing something and heading towards some goal. And when we're not doing that, when our car breaks down, or when we have to stay inside all day, or when we get a flat tire, or when our things don't work out like we expected, it's very natural to get upset and to get anxious and to get afraid that our goal might be compromised. Um, However, um, I feel that I ask myself, when have I been really stuck in my life? And I thought of a time in my past when I was in a lot of pain and there seemed to be no solution to what was going on, no obvious cure to my situation to get me out of this stuck state. And something that I discovered during that time was actually Thich Nhat Hanh. And I discovered the book, The Miracle of Mindfulness. And I started sitting, and based on his instructions, I kind of taught myself to meditate. And to me, that gave me an amazing benefit of just being able to tap into the reality of the present moment and develop and cultivate a sense of peace and calm within myself. And even though I didn't find a clear solution to that situation that I was stuck in, I felt like I learned something really important from it and was able to, I mean, it's pretty much why I'm here today talking to you all, because the meditation practice really helped me in this state. And so I hope that it can give similar benefits to people who are also feeling pretty stuck right now. So another thing I wanted to share, which comes up, is the sense of loneliness, being alone. To me, being alone is different from loneliness. And at least in my experience, loneliness has to do with kind of clinging to a certain outcome or a certain person coming in to feel a certain person or thing coming in to feel a sort of void that comes up on the inside. And at least in my experience, when I have felt lonely, when I do have that clinging sense, when I do get the person to come or when I do get the thing to fill up the loneliness, oftentimes it doesn't actually wipe out the loneliness. It just covers it up for a period of time. However, when I've been able to sit with myself instead of trying to cling for something to cover up that loneliness, or instead of trying to run away from my loneliness, when I've been able to sit with it and observe it mindfully and return to my breathing, I find that the loneliness transforms into something else naturally. When I stop fighting this state and trying to get it to go away, and I simply pause and observe it and perhaps ask why it's manifesting, it doesn't stay for long. And so that's been a really interesting practice for myself, um, to embrace that sort of stuck feeling as it transforms into something else, rather than trying to run away from it, rather than going towards the habits that tend to fill up the void within, simply being with it as it um, changes like everything else does. And so that brings us back to the idea of becoming an island unto yourself. Let's see. So Thich Nhat Hanh says, when you go back to that island, you experience peace and stability. The Buddha is there, the Dharma is there, the Sangha is there. Which makes me think of the book Aldous Huxley. he wrote this book called Island, which is about a utopia, a perfect world in the future. And in that book, there's birds that fly and remind all of the inhabitants of the island. In their calls, they say, "Be here now, be here now, here and now, folks, here and now." So the birds help people to pay attention, come back to the present moment where there is peace and stability and where we can contact our inner Buddha nature. So one last point I want to make. I would like to quote a poet that I really enjoy. So for me, writing and creativity oftentimes has to do with really grasping the present moment and just being with whatever's happening, whatever comes up. And I feel like great poetry sometimes can do that. It really brings us back into contact with the world in a new way and makes us see things in a different way. So one poem I like, which I'll read a snippet from, is called "Everything is Waiting for You" by David White. And it goes like this: "Put down the weight of your aloneness and enter into the conversation. The kettle is singing even as it pours you a drink. The cooking pots have left their arrogant aloofness and seen the good in you at last. The birds and the creatures of themselves are unutterably, no, sorry, the birds and the creatures of the earth are unutterably themselves. Everything is waiting for you. Everything is waiting for you." So when I read that, it kind of resonates to me as a call to just pay attention and be radically present to whatever's happening, and understand that we do have a connection with the present moment, and also just noticing a lot of the beauty that's out there, the beautiful sky, the clouds floating across, the songs, the birds' song, noticing how many families I've seen walking together outside, noticing how green everything's gotten. All of these are sources of joy that bubbles up within, and they've been really helpful in this time of uncertainty. So I think that's all I have for you today. Thank you for listening, and may you all be well, happy, and peaceful.
Oh, thank you, Nick. Wow. I like all of the quotes that you gave. Thinking about, for instance, the "everything is waiting for you," how you ended. Um, it's it reminds me a little bit of the teaching on emptiness, and sometimes people confuse that with nothingness, but it's only an empty vessel that can be filled. And so if you're empty of all of these attachments and clinging, then yes, everything is waiting for you. It's all there. That's really nice. I like that thought. So what are you thinking? So we have a lot of comments now, and I'd just like to, I think obviously you can see them, but so Kwan is here from California. Walt, grateful for the opportunity to be here. Patrick, grateful. And he says he got a ride in. I don't know where he was, but he beat the rain, he says. And Evita says, Camino says, hey. Oh, that's the cat. Oh, cool. So I just want to have you noticed that there are some links, places, how and ways that you can donate. And then also notice the link to the Zoom platform that we will change to in just a little bit. And Miles wants to thank Nick for the talk. She says, you remind me of some great authors to pick up during this solitude. And Barb liked your talk, very inspiring. Catherine says thanks. Neil said, what's the name of that last poet and poem?
David White.
Okay.
It's David White, Whyte, and the poem's called "Everything Is Waiting for You." So, yeah.
Very cool. So in a moment, we'll close with our closing chant and then move over to the Zoom platform so that we can talk and see one another. I hope all of you will do that. It's not complicated. You just have to click on that Zoom link and you'll be there. It's really simple. And it's so much fun to be able to see one another again. So now that I have the thing, I want to say that Heather said, thanks for the great talk, Nick. It's true. Everything will be waiting for us when this is over. I think it's all waiting now. Jen Lee, thank you, Nick, for sharing your thoughts on loneliness and solitude. Thank you all for joining us. It's nice to know that at least in some way we are present with one another. And all of this month, we will be looking at ways that we can be present together even when we are not physically present together. So let's take a look at the closing chant, where we say, countless beings we vow to free, ceaseless afflictions we vow to end, limitless truth doors we vow to open, the deepest paths of awakening we vow to realize. So if you would chant that with me. Countless beings we vow to free, ceaseless afflictions we vow to end, limitless truth doors we vow to open, the deepest paths of awakening we vow to realize. Thank you, dear friends. Don't forget to donate if you can. Every dollar you can donate is very much appreciated now, because since we are not having people in person, we don't get any in-person donations. And so I encourage you to donate on the website via, you can do a text mindful to 44321. There are many, many ways that you can contribute, and all of them are very appreciated. So let's click the Zoom link. I'm going to end this stream, and I'll see you in the Zoom space. Good evening. Be safe. Be well.